What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Ark Survival Evolved. My name is Splattercat. Happy to have you here today as we hang out for a little while, and I think we're going to be flying around on our dino. I'm going to be looking for caves today. I think that's going to be the #1 thing that I'd like to lock down. We looked all the way up in the northwest corner, and I had trouble finding the cave in there. I'm not really sure where it's supposed to be. And by the way, BT dubs, before we hit the ground, we got to be very, very careful right now because we have nobody with us to protect our Pteranodon right now. So, like, if we get off and he lands, we need to be careful about this because we can't protect him. Like, I have a rifle. I didn't bring my pike with me because it's too heavy and it puts me over my weight allotment. And so, unfortunately, whenever this little guy needs to get herself all nice and juiced back up with her stamina, it becomes a very, very risky situation for us. And so, realistically, what I prefer to do is try to land on things that are... Well, I'd prefer to land on things that are safe, like on the top of rocks and stuff like that. Let me see if I can figure out where we're at. So I think there's a cave, like, down in over here somewhere. Let's go ahead and swing out. It is amazing how fast you move on this thing. Like, seriously, I love this pet. It's the greatest thing ever. It's one of my favorites. Of all the things we've unlocked thus far, level 35 has been a very, very good level for us. So supposedly there's a cave back up in here somewhere. I don't know. It's around. We got some, like, Stonehenge-y thing happening over on that island. So what I would do is if I had to land, I would land on something like this right here, where nothing can physically get at me so that my Pteranodon stays nice and safe. What are those obsidian blocks down there? Why are those such a different color? Huh. Well, let me land for a second. I'm going to try and make sure there's no raptors around. So I like to stop ideally and just kind of like look left, look right, make sure there's no Tyrannosaurus Rexes or anything hanging out. If you see lots of herbivores walking around, it's probably okay. Let's jump off Shiggity for a second. We'll allow her. There's no way right now for us to land consistently without having to jump off to the Pteranodon. So I hope that that gets changed later on. But as it stands right now with the Pteranodon, you press the space bar to land, but every time you land, it kicks you off. So... just be aware, there's no way for me to, like, come in low like this right here and, like, land on that right there. She stays in flight until I press the space bar and dismount. So that's the thing you have to be aware of. Let's go up a little ways. I think I'm going to try and get through the trees real fast. And we'll see if we can... Oh, that's not going to work either. The tree cover is kind of thick right here. So I think if we take a look at our map, if we go northwards a little ways, we should be alright. So let's go inland a tad. And it should be, like, right around here somewhere, I think. This is a cave that I've been thinking about visiting for a long time, but just never quite got around to it. So maybe, let's come in very, very softly for right now. This looks like the kind of location where raptors would hang out. In fact, the best way to test if you're near a cave is to build a campfire and try and place it. If it won't let you place the campfire, it means that you're very, very close to the cave. There's a forest turtle over here. Not necessarily the biome that I expect to find turtles in, but I don't ask too many questions about it. Let's go down here, and maybe the cave entrance is along this wall. Yes, indeed, there it is. Okay. And so we found this cave. It's a little bit hidden. Ooh, it's got a low overhang, too. I'm going to go ahead and let me open up my map real fast. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to go... with the... Can I not do it on a dinosaur? Is that the problem? Okay, so let me... Yeah, it won't let me do it on the dinosaur. So as of right now, it appears as though we're at... Oh, I don't know. Like 81... Like maybe even 80. It looks like we're kind of on the line. I wish they would actually just do a dot. A little dot instead of these little thumbtacks. The thumbtacks, because they lean, and there's a perspective to the lean, it can be difficult to figure out where exactly the needle is. And so anyways, I think that we probably got ourselves 80... 52 maybe? I'll try it. We'll go 80... 52 and we'll call it a cave. That's pretty close. We almost nailed it. I think it's close enough to where we could find it again. Let's go ahead and have a look inside this little bugger over here and see what we can find along the way. I don't know if leaving Shiggity here is a good idea. It's probably a terrible idea, but I don't see anything around that's carnivorous. This little area appears to be safe, so let's go have a look inside. Sorry about that. It cancels my recording. It does this big chug thing whenever I go into caves that cancels my recording, so don't ask. I don't know exactly why, but every time I go into a cave, it cancels my recording out because there's a giant chug-a-lug-lug. Let's probably... I can't bring too much stuff back with me. That's the big thing right now, is that bringing things back with me, probably not going to happen. The yellow ones don't appear to be farmable. What about this right here? Okay, can't do anything with that. Now, we're going to follow an evacuation strategy. If anything goes wrong in here, I'm going to run first and ask questions later. So far, I don't see anything. It's obviously very cold in here, so we'll have to watch out for that. And it looks like it's only got one hallway that leads down in. Well, my guess is that we'll probably end up getting another idol down in here. This is concerning. This is very concerning. I don't like this one little bit. It's always so quiet in these things, and I always feel so nervous about it. So down in this area, I don't see anything so far, and actually this one isn't quite as resource rich as the last cave that I went into. The last cave had all kinds of metals and stuff. Thought I heard like a big footstep, like a Tyrannosaurus or something. Oh, there's some metal right over there. Okay. Huh. It's a little bit nerve-wracking being down in here, but we just gotta, like, stay the course for right now. Stay the course. Got a spoiled meat right there. We are gonna get hungry really, really fast while we're in the cave, because unfortunately, cold makes your hunger go down very quickly, whereas heat makes your hydration go down very quickly. Well, it looks like we're mostly safe. Like, I don't see anything in here that's trying to kill us or harm us or anything else. I don't want to get lost in here, though, either. This cave is kind of big. Nothing that way. It's a bunch more metal nodes that I actually don't have the space right now. My pterodon can't carry them all. It might be a better plan to come back in here with my... This cave is actually a lot bigger than the last couple that I've been inside of. Got like a big vestibule right here, but if we fall off this, I don't know if we'll be able to get back up. I'm thinking maybe that other hallway led down and into here, possibly. I figure as long as you're moving uphill, you're getting near the surface, so forget about it. Normally, you wouldn't want to spelunk like this. This is a very dangerous prospect, by the way. As a rule, you should never go into a cave that you're unfamiliar with, or you should never go into a cave without the proper equipment either. Going into caves tend to be a really, really bad idea, and people have been horribly wounded, killed, and get lost down in the caves, and then you got to send rescue teams in. It looks like there's water infiltrating right there. That's actually how caves are formed. In general, a cave is formed when you have something like limestone or some kind of material that dissolves when it comes into contact with water. And so you'll have a type of stone that's down underneath the earth, and it's encased in another type of stone that does not dissolve. And what'll happen is that water will infiltrate slowly. It doesn't look like there's anything in there. Water will infiltrate slowly, and it just eats away at the rock over time. It takes a long-ass time for one of these caves to get built, especially one of this size. I would be very careful in a cave this size, just because structurally there's not a whole lot that's holding the roof up right now. That would be my concern, is cave-ins and rock falls. This area would be quite dangerous, and not one that I would recommend. It's all falling on that pillar right there. Sneeze too loud and have the whole thing come down on top of you. I don't know. I don't do well with caves. I don't enjoy them very much. What is that? It's like a crappy, drippy water graphic. Okay. I don't know. I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't like tight places either. And I don't like the prospects of getting lost in a creepy-ass place where, you know, anything can go wrong. Since we don't have any water with us, I might consider... Actually, there's a pool of water over there. We could drink out of that. But for right now, I would assume that we probably don't want to explore this place too thoroughly right now. I don't see any of the random, like, cases or casks around anywhere. Or altars that you get, like, the idols out of. So, unfortunately, I don't know what objective we're moving towards right now. This could be a bad day for me. We've got okay armor, but who knows what's going to happen. Like, when we... Supposedly, what's supposed to happen is when you open up the cask, you get attacked by a bunch of monsters or something like that. Or a bunch of dinos, but, oh, there it is right there. I don't know if it's worth it, everybody. What do you think? Should we go after it? What's in here? The artifact of the hunter. Found within the darkest depths of a southern coast cave. Artifact of the hunter. Eat a couple of those. Yes, YOLO it. Alright, are we reloaded? We're reloaded. Let's get the hell out of here. I've heard the caves are buggy, though. You all left comments saying something along the lines of the fact that the mobs, they spawn in. Oh, good, we pooped in the cave. That'll make it feel more homey. Anyways, you guys had all mentioned that somewhere along the line, what happens is the monsters spawn in under the cave. We could actually check that with no clip. I have no idea what we're looking for right now. I think we obviously have like a very, very nerve-wracking plan in front of us. I don't think anything's going to come after us, though. So what they had said in the comments, them being all of you, you had told me that what happens is the cave is supposed to spawn a bunch of monsters when you open that thing back there and you get the relic, and then you're supposed to have to fight your way out. Because that doesn't happen, you had all said that underneath the cave is where all the mobs spawn, and so unfortunately they aren't able to stop us. And what I've noticed happens is then if after I get out of this cave and I close the game and I reopen it, once I've discovered a cave, it appears as though the memory allotment for the cave does not exist until you go into the cave. And so what ends up happening is if I close the game now and I come back later, reopening the game, you know, re-executing it or whatever, this place will then be populated because the memory allocation exists, and so then the engine feels like it's responsible for spawning in whatever creatures are supposed to be here. I don't know exactly how that all plays out, but that's another cave down. I think there's another one to the north of us from here, but I don't know if we've been into that one. I think the only one that we've been to so far is the north central cave. This, I might be lost. Let's go back up this way. This seems like it might be a little bit better of a plan. In addition, if you're ever in the United States, old caves tend to be a dangerous place to be. Old mine shafts, you should not be there either, because those used to really be sort of like prime prospecting areas back in ye olden days. And what ended up happening historically is that there used to be a lot of gold, silver, copper, nickel mining operations here in the United States, things along those lines. And there were a ton of those mines around us out in the hills. In fact, I can take you to locations in Death Valley or whatnot where you can't walk 45 feet, can't throw a stone without finding another mine shaft. And so anyways, they dug mine shafts everywhere because if you found one that was especially fertile, you were rich forever. Like, that's it. Like, one guy could become like a millionaire overnight. And so anyways, when World War II happened, what ended up happening is a lot of these mining companies, because the government began to claim mines, so because World War II was such a big deal, we needed all of the resources we had to fight the war. The government would come in and they would just claim your mine and they would be like, this is ours. And so in order to avoid that happening, a lot of the mining companies would just shut down the mine before they would hear it coming down, because obviously they would know about, you know, they would know guys in industry. Those guys would tip them off and say, hey, in a couple of weeks, you're going to get an executive order. You're going to get like a, I don't even know what it would be called, like eminent domain maybe. But either way, you're going to get a notice in a little bit that's going to say the government's going to claim the mine. And so what they would do is they would actually shut down the mine. Oh, it's nighttime now. It's actually kind of dark up in this chasm. What would end up happening is they would shut down the mine in order to avoid losing their claim to it, so that it wouldn't be drained out by government enterprise, and then just things would happen, and then they would never reclaim their mine again. And so there's mines all over the place that are just abandoned, and actually if you go down into them, which I've done, even though you shouldn't do that, I've gone down into them, and you can find pickaxes and things like that still leaning up against the walls. I found a cigar case in one of them. I found a bunch of old branding from like old random. There's lots of treasures in there, but you should not go in there unless you know what you're doing, because there can be other things left there as well. The one that I would point out, for example, is I had a friend that went down into a mine a while back, and he found a box, like a crate of dynamite, like an old-ass crate of dynamite in there with the dynamite still inside the crate. Now, that in and of itself is not so bad, but there's a second caveat here. When he went down in the cave, he opened up the crate of the dynamite, and the dynamite was sweating nitroglycerin. And if you don't know what that means is that nitroglycerin is usually stabilized by mixing it with like clay and sawdust and some other stuff. And it took us a long time to figure that out, because nitroglycerin can actually go off from sound waves. It'll explode when it's exposed to sound waves that are too violent. And so anyways, what ends up happening is when it sweats that nitroglycerin, you now have a stick of dynamite that's coated in something that could explode if you sneeze or if you fart or if you step too loudly. It becomes very, very volatile. And so you can find some very dangerous stuff down in mines. That's it. That's why there's a guy called a mining geologist or a reclamations geologist whose job is to go down into old mines, and he's trained to be as safe as possible while doing that. He's trained in handling explosives and things of that nature. Old explosives. Very, very dangerous job, though. They definitely get hazard pay. They make a lot of money a year, but your long-term prospects, your life expectancy may not be as high as you would like it to be. But there's my story. I figured I'd tell it right here. We'll move on to something else. So now that we've cleared out another cave and we got ourselves another one of these relics, I'm pretty happy about the whole thing. Where are we right now, by the way? I should look at my map and figure out, okay, so that's about where I thought we were. I don't know, I wasn't disoriented or anything, but I, for some reason, didn't notice this island right here, and it made me feel weird about where we were on the map. We're going to go back to base. I made a whole bunch of gunpowder. I think on the back end of this episode, we should make ourselves a rifle. That should be pretty good. I don't know what happens if you run out of stamina in midair, so I'm not going to tempt the fates here. Let's go ahead and just land right here. Actually, I think we can make it to base. Fly him all the way back home. Fly her all the way back home. Sorry, she's a pretty lady, and I gotta treat her as such. Alright, let's drop you off right here, Shiggity. I'm gonna put you on stay mode. Hopefully you just, like, chill and get your stamina back. There it is. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of stuff over here that's been priming over the course of the last couple days. We've got ourselves some cooked meat in there, which will be nice because I'm always out of meals. We've got spoiled meat. We've got a little bit more charcoal that I think I'll move around. Over on this side, I left it creating about 200 gunpowder. Like, I should have a whole bunch of gunpowder over on this side. We'll take all of that out. I'm going to leave that gunpowder in there for right now, and then I'm going to take the charcoal. We'll drop that down in. That should be fine. We've got stone. We don't have any flint left, so I need to farm more of that if we're going to be making more spark powder. But for right now, I think the amount of gunpowder that we have, 289, we can at least make 20 or 30 rounds for the rifle with what we have in stock right this second. So I don't think we'll be going through that many anyways. I don't tend to fire my firearms very often. I use a pike more than that because the pike is really, really strong. We got stones. We got metal ingots. We've got enough of the stuff that we need in order to get the job done here. Let's take out, oh, we got 166 more. Okay, my overweight, well, we just need to pass these in between the two crafting stations. That's it. Pass the ingot on the left-hand side. I don't even know what he says in that song. He says a whole bunch of stuff, and I've never been able to catch on to him. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's important or something. Go back in here, and we should be able to make this rifle. No problemo. So on our firearms list, we needed 20 wood. 20 wood, and in fact I think I burned up all of our wood, so let's run off. If I take Wimbledon, I don't know, it doesn't matter who I ride out here, we just need to farm up some wood real fast. I'll take Wimbledon off this way, and then we'll mess around with some of these trees over in the eucalyptus forest. I used to play paintball in a eucalyptus forest. It was pretty fun. Used to play paintball a lot. My dad and I went through a paintball phase where we played paintball almost every single weekend. It's an expensive hobby though, like seriously. Like, if you're not working, because that's just the nature of the beast, is that sometimes you may not be earning as much money as you need to be earning at any given time, especially if you've got, like, a variable income. So, YouTubers, variable income. Any type of self-employed, you have a variable income. Like, you mark it down on the, like, you will mark it down on the little piece of paper when you file your taxes at the end of the year. But, like, you never really know how much you're going to make in any given year when you're self-employed. It just kind of, it comes and goes. Sometimes you have a good year, sometimes you have a bad year. And so, anyways, because my dad and I are both self-employed, you never quite know how much money you're going to make in a given month, and so it can be a little bit sketchy to plop down, you know, a bunch of money on paint and whatever to go out for a weekend. Chop that tree down real quick. Hopefully there's no baddies out here. Sometimes there are raptors on our island, although very, very rarely. It's not very common. There's 20 wood that I needed right there, so let's go ahead and I'll jump on Wimbledon real fast. He should be all nice and charged up. Let's take Wimbledon back to base. I feel bad for Wimbledon because I never use him for anything. I don't know. Wimbledon just kind of hangs out at base. The problem is the Phiomia needs to be buffed in some way. They need to make the Phiomia actually worth it as a dinosaur. I don't know if the Phiomia... Let's take a look at his stats, actually. We can figure this out. So the Phiomia looks like he's primed up. His stamina regenerates too slowly. That would be the first problem that I see with him, is that his stamina just goes up way too slowly. Doesn't do a lot of damage. Not inherently all that fast. Stamina is not that good either. I mean, it's just, as a creature, not the greatest creature to have around. I mean, it's one of the first dinos you can get and actually ride. I'm of the opinion that maybe they should increase the speed on it slightly. Maybe not like the natural speed of the Phiomia, but the trained speed. So if you level up your Phiomia, the levels that you give to him actually benefit him more than the ones that the AI earns while it's going around, so that his speed will become worthwhile as kind of like a critter to follow you around here. Just follow me back to base. It's kind of worthless to have you following me right now. I got a whole bunch of animals over here. It's getting a little bit overpopulated with dinosaurs. They used to be like a novelty around here, and now we've got so many of them that I'm just like, oh my god, there's so many dinosaurs here. What are you doing, amigo? Food meter hasn't gone down at all? Okay. So you've got enough health. I'm probably just put points 36. Oh my god, never mind. Shouldn't have done that neither. Oh, you leveled up a bunch of times. Okay, so I don't know what to use you for. I mean, I suppose I'll just put in a bunch of HP levels and make you more resilient and just hope that it works out. Throw a little bit of meat on you too so that you can feed yourself. I don't know. I like my little dinos. Little Nasty's cool. I don't use them very often though. It looks like we've got another thing descending from the heavens over there. That's a level 1 cache, so it's not going to be that useful. Instead, did I have any light sources in here? Did I ever put down any standing torches? I must not have. Disappointing. Let me take a little bit of wood. We'll drop that on in there so that our future crafts, we have enough. Let's get this long neck rifle going. I like it because it's themed along with the Land Before Time. You're a long neck, and this is a long neck rifle. Nobody knows how much Brooka that the Brontosaurus brings, but seriously, they bring a lot of Brooka. That hopefully gave us some XP. I don't know if it did or didn't. And then a primitive long neck rifle. This simple single shot rifle. Oh, it's a pipe rifle? Okay, so it's highly accurate but has a long reload time, so it's a pipe rifle. I thought that maybe it would hold 3 or 4 rounds, but only 1 shot. We'll test it out in just a second. Let me make a couple of bullets for it, and we'll see where that all goes. So I can make... Let's make 5 rounds. Oh, you get 2 each time you craft. Well, good. Okay, that makes my life a little bit easier. Let's just go ahead and make like 20, 30 bullets. How heavy are they? Pretty heavy. I don't think if it's a single shot rifle, I heard that it does a bunch of damage, so let's go ahead and throw that into there right now. We'll take that. I actually prefer to leave my guns inside of here because they're pretty hefty. Actually, I could put this in my go bag. Let's go put this in our go bag. Yeah, that's a way better plan. Throw this inside the go box real quick, and then we'll test out this rifle and see what it's capable of. Go dodo hunting or something. Alright, so we got the long neck rifle. I'm going to throw that back into its position. We got ourselves a pistol that's going to be in our go bag. Our equipment's looking pretty good now. If we ever die and end up back at base and have to run back to where we came from, we're looking fairly solid right now. I think we'll be alright. I'd also like to go around and let me grab this. Well, that reload time wasn't that terrible, but if you're under duress, I could see it being a problem. It looks cool. It looks cool as hell. Let's maybe find something to shoot at. I don't see any dodos down there. I wonder if it fires to the top of the iron sight or if it fires to the crosshair, because the crosshair... I also wonder if there's bullet drop or if this is just hit scan. Woo! Gotcha! Okay. Alright. I don't know how much damage this does, but I assume we can look it up on the wiki and figure it out. I think this will probably be useful for hunting bigger game while my other creatures, so I can fire at it. My other creatures will fire, they'll run up on it, and then I'll be able to hunt. But for right now, I'm really, really happy with what we accomplished today. I think we got a lot of stuff done. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here at the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Ark. In future episodes, I don't know what we're going to do. I think it's probably going to be worth it for us to go back down into the caves, because I've never actually showed what's inside the caves here in YouTube. On one of the streams, I went back to one of the caves, and there was a bunch of bats and things in there, so we may want to capture some of those. I will see you all later. We may also want to start capturing aquatic creatures. I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll see y'all later. Hi-do, everybody.